I'm Dr. Mike Costello, and I'm here with the Reverend Iris Freelander, and we'd like to speak with you in the next few minutes about angels and divine presences. There is a tremendous resurgence of interest in angels and divine presences, and we'd like to spend the next few minutes talking about those. Iris, why don't you start by telling us what angels are?
Well, angels are energy, light beings of energy, and they're an older civilization, an older part of evolution than mankind. And the archangels are an even older evolutionary life wave than the angelic kingdom, than the angels. And the archangels work with us, and they have specific work to do. And then there are many, many thousands of types of angels, and they work with us, and they're always with us. They're with us when we realize it and when we don't realize it. They're with us every moment, and they help us in every aspect of our lives.
Mhm. Angels really have a variety of functions, and a lot of times I think children or young people ask me more than anything when they're talking about our belief. And I think an important thing to remember is when we talk about our belief, New Thought, Christian ideas, uh, there is no consensus. There are a variety of ideas and thoughts, but they ask if people ask if angels were people, if they've always been angels. Does that matter, do you think?
Well, I don't think it matters, but I think that they have not been people. They've been. A person can go into the angelic line. The way I understand it, they can at the third degree of initiation. They have the choice of staying in the angel, going into the angel line, or staying in the human line of evolution. If they have, if an angel has incarnated as a human being, then they have that choice. But it's rare that an angel would incarnate as a human. And I understand that St. Francis of Assisi came out of the angel kingdom and was here perhaps more than one lifetime, and then went back into the angelic kingdom. And I believe he did go back into the angel kingdom. But we know that they help us in every aspect of our lives, and they're ever present, and we can call on them for any help that we need. Now, an angel can manifest as looking like a human, just so we will recognize them. An angel can manifest any way they like. A lot of people think angels have wings. Well, they don't have wings. They have force energy, a force field, and that energy vortex goes out and looks like wings. So they were never painted as having wings until the 5th century, and those artists then started depicting them. And I believe the artists were probably clairvoyant, and they saw the energy, and so they depicted the wings because they saw the energy fields. And also, we have to put an answer to everything, so we have to say how those angels fly. And so if we give them wings, that gives, in our minds, it tells us how they fly. Well, the angels just don't, just like the soul of of a person, of a human being, goes out of the body at sleep and at death. Well, it's the same principle of the angels working in that way. And when I said earlier the angels are a point of light, they are indeed just that. And we can't even see them unless they choose to show us themselves in a specific way. That light would be so bright it would practically blind us.
Mhm. So many people who have seen angels or have believed that they've seen angels probably saw this energy field and saw
Right.
light,
Yeah.
and it's very easy to believe that that's wings, don't you think?
Yes. It would be very easy to see because you see that force, that energy field. And I know the first time I saw an angel was one time I was thinking, can I manage to live with my family? I was having a lot of family problems at the time. And I was told, I was doing house chores, and I saw my angel very clearly, and she said, my guardian, and she said, Byrne is the perfect husband for your soul's growth. And it really shocked me and surprised me and delighted me that I had direction there, because without question, I would not end that marriage, because that was so definite.
Mhm.
That he was the perfect husband for my soul's growth, and I need to get on with the program and work these problems through, not flee from them, but work them through. And that's very often what our angels do. They come in and give us instruction and help, but they never usurp man's free will. And that's one thing we always need to remember, that they will never usurp our free will.
That's really the concept of the guardian angel.
Right.
And of course, the Catholic Church has taught for centuries that everyone has a guardian angel, and that concept of the angel who is assigned to us specifically, or that divine presence to guide us through life.
Yes. But it's good to know that no angel being and no discarnate human being and no higher one on the inner planes is ever going to take away our free will, because God gave mankind free will. And so there's no way that free will would ever be taken from us. And this is why very often when we pray for guidance, we have to be very specific as we pray for that guidance, because our free will not be taken away.
You studied for many years with Flower Newhouse, and
Yes.
Flower had some teachings and ideas and did extensive writing on the initiates and levels of angels, and not to get too esoteric, but
Yes.
why don't we touch on that a little bit?
Well, Flower brought through clairvoyantly a lot of information that she put into books, and she was able to write 2 books, and one was 3 books about the angels, and 2 of those books were condensed into one. But she has written a great deal about the angelic kingdom, and now we have a plethora of books about the angels. And some of those books, I think, are not really speaking truth about how the angels really are. When they give them fanciful human-like qualities, then it's just that, it's fanciful thinking. But they're interesting to read. But we need to remember that the angels are more advanced than humanity, and they would never stoop to ever usurping our free will. They would never be over-flattering. They would never do the things that humans do that sometimes we regret that we've ever done. The angels would never be in that position, because they are attuned to God constantly, ever attuned to God, the whole, God the Creator. And so they wouldn't, as that total attunement to God, they would never be human-like in the littleness of human beings. They would never resort to any of those tactics, because they're not, that's not within them.
They are angelic beings.
Right.
And as angelic beings, they are connected to, emissaries for, and are constantly in the present awareness of God.
Yeah.
And they are divine.
Right. Another thing Flower brought through, information on the great ones, on the inner, the masters, and those who are more advanced than average humankind. And I think that's important for us to know the difference between the angelic kingdom and those on the inner who are human, are of our own line of evolution, but more advanced. And for example, the Lord Christ was the first of our life wave capable of being the Christ. And we talked last week about the Christ Spirit and the Jesus, the Christ. Well, as the first of our life wave capable of being the Christ, he assumed that office. And before that, one had been loaned to our humanity. The Lord Maitreya had been loaned from the planet Venus, in fact. And there's always a Christ for every planet. And so that's the way the Christ energy was used on our planet, and that was the part of God. And so she brings through those various truths. But it's wonderful to know that the angels are so real to people that they can bring information through to us, and they've made themselves known to specific people so often that we have definite proof of not that we need proof, because if we have faith, we know that's enough for many of us, but it's wonderful to have that proof.
In our church, we offer prayers during every service, and one of the prayers that we offer in our pastoral prayer is for those who are preparing to die, who,
Yes.
excuse me, are at this moment preparing to make the transition. And one of the things that we invoke, or the entities that we invoke, are ministering angels.
Yes.
And we call ministering angels from the invisible side of life to encircle and enfold these ones who are preparing to step forth. And I think it's important to know that there are ministering angels who come to work or to minister to us at times of need. They come to minister when we're in the stage of transition into death. They come to minister to us when we're ill. They come to minister to us when we're fearful or frightful. They minister to us by giving us divine ideas and guidance.
Yes, and a friend of mine had a dream. He wasn't sure if it was a dream or a vision, but he saw this older man with a scythe, and he realized it was the spirit of death. And he said to that spirit, "Why are you appearing in such an unflattering way?" Because it didn't look beautiful. And he said, I appear this way to some people because that's how they recognize me. And so he was giving this friend of mine a lesson on death and the value of going out in full consciousness, is what was the specific lesson. But he would have been an angel of death, but he showed himself in that way, and he showed the friend of mine that this is how he sometimes appeared to people so they would recognize who he was. So an angel can appear with any, can accomplish a look of any look they wish, and they can appear in any way they wish. And very often they might appear to look human just so we would recognize them and know that we're being helped, because we might not recognize this angelic energy if we just saw the pure energy of the angel being.
And biblically, we know that angels have appeared in both the Old and the New Testament. And when they appear, and of course, we have many references to angelic beings communicating with people in the physical life experience, but sometimes they have to identify themselves, or they have to communicate in such a way that that it's obvious that the people to whom they're speaking would not recognize them as angels.
Right.
So
That's right. And there's hundreds of incidents in the Bible where angels have appeared, both in the Old and New Testament. And so it's good to know that we can look to the Bible for that knowledge as well as current information. And there's so many ways they work with us. There's angels of death, angels of birth, angels of the home. There's always an angel of the home guarding every home. There's an angel for every church. There's a great angel guarding every country. And then there's a master working with every country, like the Master Americus works with the United States of America, and so many great angels. For example, at the a statue of Lincoln in Washington, D.C., there's a great angel guarding each side of this monument to Lincoln. And you can see that those who are clairvoyant can see those angels there, and they're always on guard, and they're always there. There are so many types of angels, it would be beyond my comprehension to know how many there are, because they work with every facet of life for humankind. And it's such a wonderful plan of God that we do have this marvelous help. And if we just remember that when we're in times of trouble and look within, then and ask our guardian, ask our angel there's a book, Ask Your Angel, and if there's so many wonderful books now available, I couldn't even name them all, but we just need to ask. Whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive, we have been told so eloquently, and those angels help us with every time we ask. They're there to help us.
And they're constantly present. I think we so often believe that things are only present if we can see them. And we know that we live in our minds, not in the world, and that there's a whole world that is beyond our sight, but it's operating on the same plane of existence where we are right now. Dr. Garlish, who was the founder of our church in 1927, used to talk about spirit substance operating at a different rate of vibration. And he taught that the physical realm of life operates at a certain vibratory rate, that energy is moving at a certain speed. And of course, science has proven to us that all of the things that we see are really energy in motion, and that we are moving at a vibratory rate which allows us to see each other, to see the chair in which we're sitting, and the physical bodies, the plant here. But that in this same space, there are a myriad of spiritual truths and presences operating at a different rate of speed. And so we can't see them. They may or may not see us, but their vibratory rate is different than ours. And I think the angelic and spirit realm is operating at a very, very high vibratory rate.
Yes. Well, that's what so many of the books are bringing out. From people who channel information from the inner, from people who discarnates, or the people who've gone on, or the angels, that they're here all the time, and they say they walk through our bodies, they walk through the doors, they walk through anything, and we have this proof. Not only do we know it's true intellectually, but we have this proof that they are here all the time. And there's the different dimensions. Like we live in the third dimension, and in the fourth dimension, then they see in a different way. In the fifth dimension, they see in a different way, and so forth. And something that's very interesting is that after we've died, when we go to a specific dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, and then there's 7 levels on each dimension, we can't go up higher than we've accomplished in growth pattern. And our angels can help us to see into the other dimensions, but we can't go to those dimensions and be there because we can only resonate to that to which we've achieved, the level to which we've achieved.
Mm-hmm. The angelic beings, the angels, as we know them or call them, are operating in the realm of spirit. But as you said earlier, and I think it's an important topic to touch upon a little more depth, is that there are spirit beings that are not angels, and that there is a spiritual realm in which the angelic beings operate.
Yes.
But there is a difference between spirits and angels,
Yes.
and the consciousness of spirit being.
Well, from our consciousness level, we would see the spirits as being those on the inner who have died, who've gone on the human line of evolution, and that would be the spirits that we see. And the angelic beings, as you said, would be totally different and would be of a different vibratory rate, and they would be of a higher vibratory rate, so that people can't even see them. Those on the inner might not even see them because it's such a high rate of vibration unless they would show themselves to them. Mm-hmm. And I've been interested in reading certain books recently that show what life is like on the inner planes that I believe are true, but they don't see the angels on the inner. There's 2 different books that I've read recently that have they've made the remark they have not seen the angels. Well, it's because most of us don't see the angels either. Mm-hmm. Unless we're clairvoyant, we don't see them. Unless they show themselves to us in a marked degree and we see them just at specific times, then we don't see them. Well, they don't see them after they've died and gone on to the inner planes. If they're on a specific level of a lower level, then they don't see them either.
Mm-hmm. We're not omniscient.
That's right.
And I think that's an important idea to understand. So often people will say, well, if I was in spirit before, mm-hmm. I don't remember it. Yeah. Or if I lived before, I don't remember it. Well, it would not be possible for us to remember consciously all of our incarnations and all of our life experiences. Our conscious awareness is limited to the vibratory environment in which we're living at a given time, because each of these experiences is for our spiritual growth. It's not to become an encyclopedia or to be aware of who's who. And I think so often our desire to know and understand will tell us, well, none of these things can be true, because if they were true, I would remember them. And it is in our remembrance, but it is not in our conscious remembrance, because it would hinder us from what we're doing at the present moment.
And we couldn't bear it.
Yeah, we couldn't.
We couldn't bear all these truths and the facts of our various lives, but we know that it's there in our subconscious and we draw from it. And another thing, it's in the Akashic Records that are recorded for time immemorial. And every thought, word, and deed that we've done is recorded in the Akashic Records. It's also recorded in our heart chakra seed atom. There's a seed atom in the heart chakra, which is a part of our subconscious. And and everything is there. And we can re-access that. And that's one of the important things about meditation, that we re-access information that we need that's stored in our subconscious. And we can go out to the Akashic Records and read them if we're trained and able to do that. It's a wonderful faculty to be able to do that. But overall, we don't need that. We just need to live each day the very best we can. And you teach that so beautifully in your church, that living in the now is the important part. And knowing that we have angelic helpers makes living in the now a lot easier.
Absolutely. The Akashic Records are so useful to us in the evaluation that we do of our life, as we talked before about life after death. And also people, when they make the transition or have a near-death experience, will often say that they saw their life flashing quickly before their eyes. And one of the things that we read so often in the books about near-death experience is that the ones who have gone through that experience will say, I don't understand how, but I saw every event, I heard every conversation, I relived it in an instant. Well, it's simply the ability of the spirit of our conscious awareness to tap into that record and to be in the experience and to have the ability to draw upon it and to reflect upon it.
Yes.
So,
and it's wonderful to know that, but it's so important that we not get bogged down in logistics, that we just know. It's just like I try to explain about the seed atom in my classes, and it's in the heart chakra, in the fifth ventricle of the heart chakra, and that seed atom contains all the information that the Akashic Records contain about our own individual life pattern from the time we were flung out from God as pristine spirits to this day. And we'll continue recording until we worked our way back to God, which is our ultimate goal. And so when we go in within, and look within has been said in so many eloquent ways, and we need to do that. And we do it in meditation, we do it in introspection, we do it in various ways. But we can re-access that knowledge because it's there. They're close to us, and that's part of our subconscious.
And in the process of meditation and prayer, but meditation especially, we are able to connect with the conscious awareness of these angelic beings. We, if not connect with them, we at least are more able to open the channel.
That's right, and be aware of them because they're there. They're always there. They're ever present. So it's just like our guardian stands over our right shoulder, and is always there for us. But as we go into meditation, we're more aware of truth and more aware of divinity and more aware of our connection with God the whole, God creator, spirit of creator, God who made us, and with our divine way shower, the Lord Emmanuel, and with all those great ones on the inner, and especially with the angels who work with us daily, constantly.
Bringing us what we need and guiding us along the way, but never taking or usurping authority over our lives.
Yes, and that's so important to know too, that they don't usurp our free will, and they won't. So they give us direction and they nudge us, and when we ask for help, we get that help, but they don't make decisions for us ever.
In meditation, have you had personal experiences with angelic?
Yes, I see them. As you know, I've been teaching meditation classes for many years, about 30 years, and there's times when I see them on in the room, and it's so beautiful and so wonderful to be able to see that energy, that divine energy, and we know that they're there all the time. We know that they're wherever people are praying, wherever people are attuned to God, then more angels are present. And but they're there all the time, regardless of who or what we are. They're with us when we're doing things we ought not to do. They're still there with us.
They're constantly around us and constantly supporting us. But when we open the channel in meditation or in conscious awareness, it allows them to more directly influence us and makes us more able to access the guidance and direction that they bring.
That's correct. And there's times when I'll see the guardian behind each person who's in the room meditating, and it's because they've all been expressing this wish that they could see their guardian, or they would know that they're there, or that they would be given information about them. And it's because of the group mind wanting them to be present. I think that's why. And sometimes they're there and we can't see them, but we know that they are there all the time.
I believe the conscious awareness of angels has created a collective consciousness, if you will, that has brought this awareness in much more strongly and has allowed so many people to channel and bring forth wonderful books and have magnificent experiences.
Yes, and don't you think, Dr. Costello, that part of this is the fact that we're going into such great changes, all the vast changes that we're experiencing on Earth. The angels are making themselves known to us more in a compassionate way because we need their help, and we realize we need their help.
That's absolutely true. I think there is no question that we are moving into a new age, and we are moving from the Piscean age into the Aquarian age, and we're going to see in the next few years, as we move through the end of this decade, we move into the next century, we're going to see a full awareness of the Christ consciousness. We're going to move from the consciousness of the gospel about Jesus Christ into the gospel of Christ Jesus. And we're going to see his teachings, and we're going to see his life example and his kingdom dynamics being much more important than simply his life or death, as we've talked about before. And the angels are coming to prepare all of us for this period of transition. And I think that it isn't that they're here more, it is that they are more active because of the earth changes. And the earth is moving into a spiritual period of rejuvenation, especially as we move again into the Aquarian age.
Yes. So what you're saying is they're making themselves known to us more fully because we need this extra impetus of faith and hope and hope, really, and the assurance of help.
And they're here to guide us through this period.
Yeah.
And there are many, many on the earth plane and in the earth experience who are going to shift their consciousness tremendously over the next decade and into the next century. And so we all need divine guidance and the presence of angels.
Yes, and we have these wonderful help. We have this wonderful help constantly, but there's times when we're made aware of it, and that is such a blessing.
Mm-hmm. And the blessing strengthens us and allows us to deal with the circumstances of life.
Yes. Well, it's so important that we each ask to see our guardian angel, to see those angels who are helping us, and ask whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing you shall receive.
Exactly. We need to ask for the presence of angels in our lives because we know that they're here, and we hope that in the last few minutes, Reverend Freelander and I have been able to share with you some concepts about divine beings and angels in your life, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Confident living, banner of might, comes from the Spirit with glorious light. Confident living cleanses my soul, giving the Spirit fullest control. Confident living rights every wrong. Dynamic power helps me be strong. Confident living comforts my heart. From such a blessing I can't depart. Confident living helps me expand visions of value, the kingdom ahead.